Welcome to online class. I welcome the students of Sayaviti Society High School, Gajipur. The day before yesterday, I have discussed about 5 rules of completing sentences. Today, I am going to discuss about another 5 rules of completing sentences. The rules are so that, it is high time, hardly had, scarcely had, no sooner had, and least. And my dear student, I welcome to all to join with me and enjoy the class. I hope and believe that you all will go to study at your home during this COVID-19 session, and let's go to board. And today's topic is completing sentences for class 9. And today I am going to discuss about 5 completing sentences rules so that it is high time, hardly had, scarcely had, no sooner had, and least. First, you see the rule so that. So that is a connector also. So that is a connector also. And how I will complete, or a student will complete this structure. And for an example, I went to market so that I could buy some goods. Here, my dear student, you see, I went to market. I could buy some goods. So that as a connector, and so that connected these two sentences. And how I will complete this sentence. If you find so that in a sentence, you have to complete the sentence by adding subject plus can or could plus V1 plus extension. And if you find the present tense of the main verb of first sentence, and you have to add can. And if you find the past form of the main verb of first sentence, you have to write could. Okay, you have to follow this structure. If you find so that in a sentence, you have to complete this rest of the sentence adding subject plus can or could plus V1 plus extension. For an example, I go to school so that I can learn well. Here, go is present form. So, I have written here can. And if you find the past form here, and you have to write could. For an example, I played well so that I could get a prize. You see, here played, this is the past form of play, and so I have written here could. And you have to memorize. If you find so that adding in a sentence, you have to complete the sentence adding subject plus can or could plus V1. And you have to memorize this structure. Okay, I hope and believe that all of my students will understand this structure about so that. Now I am going to second structure. It is high time. It is high time. It is high time means it was the perfect time. It is high time means it was the perfect time. You have to remember that if you find a sentence adding it is high time, you have to write the past form of verb. Okay, and for an example, it is high time I studied well. You see, it is high time I studied well. And what is the second structure of this sentence? It is high time. If you find it is high time in a sentence, you have to write subject plus V2 plus extension. And this is the structure. You have to memorize only structure. This is easy method to understand. Okay? If you find adding a sentence, it is high time, the verb of the second sentence will be past form. Okay? Then it is high time I studied well. And for another example, it is high time we finished the work. Okay? And it is high time we, subject, and the V2 of the verb and the extension. Okay? I hope all of my students understood this structure well. And now I am going to number third, structure. I request my students, you have to follow your textbook also at your home. Hardly had. Hardly had. This is a structure very important for your exam. And if you find a sentence adding hardly had, and what will be the second structure of the structure of the second sentence, and you have to start the second sentence adding when plus subject plus V2 plus extension. For an example, hardly had I entered into the room when my father called me. You see, hardly had I entered into the room. This is the first sentence. And then the second sentence started with when. When my father is subject. Father is subject. When plus subject plus V2. Called. This is V2. This is extension. Okay? You have to memorize if you find adding a sentence, hardly had, and you have to start the second sentence with when plus subject plus V2 plus extension. As like as this, scarcely had is same as hardly had. You see, scarcely had. If you find any subject adding scarcely had, this is as like as the structure of hardly had. You have to start with when plus subject plus V2 plus extension. For an example, scarcely had I went to the field, then when the rain started. You see, scarcely had I went to the field. This is first sentence, adding scarcely. But when you start it, this second sentence, you have written, I have written when the rain subject started V2. And hardly had and scarcely had are same structure. And My dear student, I hope and believe that you are able to understand all of the structures, and you have to memorize the first structure and second structure. These are the easy way to memorize. And if you go through the books and the rules in you will find in the books are much more complex. So to memorize easily, and I hope and believe that these are the easy method to understand. Okay, now I'm going to structure number 5. List. Okay, if you find a sentence adding list, it is a negative sentence. You will not add any not or negative sign in this sentence. For an example, you see, walk fast. List, you should miss the bus. List also a connector. These two sentences connected with list. And if you find a sentence adding list, and what will be the second sentence, and what will be the structure of second sentence, you see, list equal to subject plus should plus V1 plus extension. And this is the structure adding list to complete the sentence. For an example, work hard. List, you will fail in the exam. You should fail in the exam. Work hard. List, you should fail in the exam. And work hard, this sentence, list, and this is subject, and this is should, and this is V1. This is example. This is extension. And so the sentence is work hard, list, you should fail in the exam. And this is the structure adding list to complete sentences. My dear student, and today I have discussed 5 roles of completing sentences. And what are they? I am repeating again. First, I have discussed about the rules so that. If you find a sentence adding so that, you have to complete the rest of the sentence. Is first you have to write subject, then you have to write can or could, then you have to write the V1 and extension. And if you find the present tense, you have to write the can, and if you find the past tense, and you have to write could. Secondly, I have discussed it is high time. And it is high time. If you find a sentence adding high time, you will complete the sentence subject plus V2 plus extension. And then it is high time is always a past form in the second sentences. And third sentence, hardly had. If you find adding hardly had, you will start the second sentence with when. When plus subject plus V2 plus extension. And if you find and scarcely had, and you have to complete the rest of the sentence is when plus subject plus V2 plus extension. Hardly had and scarcely had are same. Okay? And finally, I have discussed list. And if you find a sentence list, and you have to complete the rest of the sentence adding subject plus should plus V1 plus extension. Now I am going to show another sentence, similarly scarcely had or hardly had. Now go to the board. no sooner had. It is quite similar with hardly had and scarcely had. But and for in one place you have to change this, and in case of hardly had and scarcely had, I have discussed that you have to start the second sentence with when, but in case of no sooner had, you only you have to start the second sentence adding then, THAN, not THDN. For an example, no sooner had I passed the exam, then I got a job. You see, no sooner had I passed the exam. This is the first sentence. And I got a job. This is the second sentence added then. THAN, not THDN. But this is quite similar with the structure of hardly had and scarcely had. Only different, and in case of hardly had and scarcely had, you have to start the second sentence with when. In case of no sooner, you have to start the second sentence with then. Rest of the rules are same. Then plus subject plus V2 plus extension. And this is the structure about no sooner had. Then plus subject plus V2 plus extension. My dear student, I request you to follow the online classes, and all of the teachers of Sayaviti Society High School are taking online class. They are working much more harder than for you. Okay, so that you can study at your home. I welcome my students to follow this online class. I hope and believe that today I have discussed some roles of completing sentences for class 9. This is important. I believe that you have understood this. I will try my best to complete rest of the roles and rest of the lessons for you. Thank you very much.